Update. My husband, 29, knocked out my brother, 28M, for calling me, 26F, a whore. And my parents want me to choose what is the right choice. Sorry for the throwaway account. I have colleagues on my main account, and I want to keep this as private as possible, but also need advise. As my title says, basically. This past weekend, me and my husband were over at my parents' house for a BBQ. The day was going great, until my brother for some reason started to have a go at me, calling me names and belittling me. My husband pulled my brother aside and had a talk with him, and the insults stopped. An hour or so later, we were standing around, talking with some friends and family members, and my brother came up to me and told me, "I'm a whore." His exact words were, "You know you are a fucking whore, right?" He said it loud enough for almost everyone at the party to hear. All I saw was my husband next to me look at me, then I felt a push to the side, my husband stepping in front of me, and the next thing was my brother out cold on the ground with blood on his face. All I heard is my mother yelling and my husband saying, "You don't talk to my wife like that. I warned you already." Before I continue, my husband didn't hurt me. He didn't push me hard or anything like that. Don't know how to describe it, but it was like a push that someone will give you when they are trying to pass. I went like one step back, that is all. I am not mad at my husband. I'm mad at my brother the whole day. He was demeaning me, insulting me, belittling me. Don't know where this came from, as he has never talked to me like that, or to anyone that I know of. The bigger problem I have it that I have to choose. Either my husband or my parents. My parents are pissed and have given me an ultimatum. I either leave my husband and divorce him, or they cut me off completely. My husband doesn't give a crap that they are mad. The only thing he is mad about it, that he only got one punch in his words. I love my husband, and don't want to lose him, but I also don't want to lose my parents. They have supported me through a lot, and have always been there for me. I know they are serious, as this is the first time they have ever issued me with an ultimatum. They also threatened my husband with the assault charge, but he doesn't care and welcomed them to do it. I'm stuck between a decision that will change my life forever, and I'm panicking. I have received messages for friends and other family members that have given me support and condemned my husband, but they are leaning more on the support side. Any advice will be appreciated? Edit to clarify. I am to choosing my husband. I have never questioned that, but I also don't want to lose my family. I am very family-oriented, and family to me is everything. I want to find a solution where I can keep both. Additional comments. Commenter 1. Ask your parents why they think you should choose them when they've already made it clear they'll choose your brother no matter what he does to you. Commenter 2. I also find it very difficult to believe that they have been so supportive of OP her entire life when her brother feels so comfortable verbally abusing her right in front of them. Even now, they see only her husband's reaction and not their son's actions. They are abusive and coddle an abusive son, and OP is too close to the situation to realize that what she has with them is most likely familial guilt and a trauma bond. Commenter 3. And they chose to allow him to abuse you. Certainly mentally with words. I would bet he was physically abusive as a child to her. Next question would be, does your dad talk to your mom like that? If not, why can son talk to sister like that? He has their approval if they don't condemn it. Sorry, but you brother is an AH, your parents are crappy and your husband is a hero. Keep the hubby, he is the only one with your interest in mind. Now for the update. First, I would like to thank everyone, and I want to apologize as well for the way I worded my post. It's no excuse, but my emotional state isn't the best. Unable to link my previous post, just look on the account. My husband is my choice and I have no intentions of leaving him at all, never had. I know it's early for an update, but I'm more confused now about what is going on. My parents invited me over to have a talk with them, but they wanted me to come alone as they didn't want my husband at their house. My husband refused to let me go alone and said if he isn't going, then he won't allow me to. He basically said, with you alone there, they will just pile on you, and that I won't let happen. So we went together. My parents wasn't happy to see him, and my mother wanted to say something until my husband told her he isn't there for them, but me. And if he is forced to leave, I will leave with him. I agreed with him. Reluctantly, they agreed. My brother was there as well. He has a broken nose and chipped teeth and refused to look at me or my husband. He just kept looking at the ground, even while talking. Apparently what happened with my brother is that he broke up with his girlfriend a month ago. It's more like she broke up with him. Don't know, the reason don't care. I wasn't aware of this, as we aren't close like that. According to him, the reason he had a go at me this weekend is because my life. According to him, my perfect life with my husband kept popping up on his feeds, and he got jealous. Everything on my social media is with my husband. I don't really use it for anything else. But his feed was full of my posts, and that set him off as I had something that he didn't. It got worse when he overheard me and my mother talking when I had a discussion with her over children. Me and my husband is currently trying to have a baby, and that just made everything worse in his head. His life was falling apart, and mine was going perfectly, and I had and was trying for have what he wanted with his ex. He said he didn't take my husband seriously when he pulled him aside, and my husband warned him. I seriously don't know why he went after me, as nothing he said was true in any sense, and I did ask him why he said those things. He refused to answer me. I asked him why the whore comment, because he knows my husband was my first in everything, and it has only been him all these years. He refused to answer. I asked him if trying to have a baby with my husband makes me a whore, as it involves sex, and he just left the room. I asked my parents why they didn't step in and tell my brother to leave, or stop. My dad said he wanted to, but my mother told him to leave my brother be, as he is not actually hurting anyone. The same with the ultimatum, the wanted to protect my brother. I asked what about me, and they were silent. All my father said was the ultimatum was my mother's idea, and he went along with it. This is basically where we are at the moment. A lot more was said, but I don't think it matters. My husband did apologize to my parents for what happened, but refused to apologize to my brother. When my mother asked him to apologize to my brother, he outright said no. He won't apologize for standing up for me, and my brother got what he deserved. He was warned and didn't listen. My mother said it still doesn't excuse him for hitting my brother. My husband asked my dad, what will he do if someone called his wife a whore? My father said I will have a talk with that person, but will never hit someone. My husband laughed and told my dad he is a weak-willed, spineless man if he allows someone to demean his wife like that. That got my mom red in the face. I could see her get angry. That is when I told my husband it's time to leave. I told my parents that I will be going low contact with them, and the ultimatum they gave me broke the trust I had in them. I understand they wanted to protect my brother, but in doing that they hurt me. This seemed to take all the anger out of my mother. They asked if I will be cutting them out completely, and I told them that is up to them. I don't want anything to do with my brother at the moment, as he can't even apologize for what he said to me. I told them if they can respect my wishes, we will see. When we got up to leave, my husband went over to my parents and actually still greeted them politely, but told my dad, it's time grow a backbone. I don't know what I saw, but I think it was shame in my mother's face because my dad looked at my mother and she looked away from him. This is where we are at the moment. My husband on the way back home apologized for possibly escalating things, but told me it was time someone told my dad the truth. He said, whatever punishment comes, he will take and deal with any fallout. I don't need to worry or stress about anything. Edit. Brother's ex cheated on him and apparently he begged her to fix things, but she chose the other guy, and now he is just pissed and angry at every woman, and believe we will all do that eventually. Got a message from my cousin. The family had a go at my parents for allowing my brother to talk to me the way he did, and they came clean as to why he did what he did, but couldn't do it when I was over and we talked. They couldn't be honest with me and just refused to answer. Story 2. Update. I, 38F, have been keeping a secret from my 43F friend, co-worker, about her, 42A husband, and it's tearing me apart. How do I navigate this without destroying lives? Hello, Reddit. This has been weighing on my conscience for over a year now, and I'm honestly not sure how to handle it. It's long, so settle in, grab a tea, coffee, whiskey, and enjoy my mental anguish. I, 38F, met my friend Dave, 42A, about 4 years ago in an online gaming forum. During the entire time we talked, I became friends with his wife, Brenda, 43F, and he became friends with my fiancé, Mikkel, 38M. I live by the rule in a relationship that if there is conversation that I wouldn't feel comfortable showing my significant other, then I don't need to be having that conversation. At no point did Dave ever cross a line with me, nor was there ever inappropriate conversation. This is important. About a year and a half ago, summertime, Mikkel got a big promotion and we hosted a fun weekend-long celebration at our home. We invited Dave and Brenda, who live 5 hours from us, and this was the first time we actually met them in person. I instantly connected with Brenda, as she was so authentic and sweet. We all got along well, and even started talking about doing future get-togethers and vacations. It seemed perfect. At this time, my company was doing major layoffs, and I was looking for a new career. Brenda has worked at a remote company for over a decade and recommended I apply. After a few intense interviews, I was hired. Quick side note, Dave had been injured in work-related accident that had gone to court. He sued and won. He was permanently disabled because of the accident and can no longer work at his profession. That, along with a large life insurance policy from his parents, he is financially set for life. He stays home and raises their daughter, Leah, 5, while Brenda does her remote work from the house as well. So, a little over a year ago, during the fall, a few months after the celebration weekend, Dave and Brenda were getting ready to take their daughter, Leah, 5, on a vacation. Before they left for the airport, Dave said he needed to talk to me. It was urgent, so I stepped away to take the call. Dave then told me he had literally nobody else to talk to this about, and was deeply depressed, and needed to confide in me as a friend. I really wish he hadn't. He told me that the night before, he had gotten into a huge fight with who he calls his best friend, Rachel, 41F. I had heard about Rachel, but never met her, and didn't know too much about her, to be honest. What I did know, Dave, Brenda, and Rachel had been friends in college, approximately 20-year-long friendship. She had visited at Dave and Brenda's house several times over the years, and that Rachel allegedly had been in a string of bad relationships, of which Dave had had to bail her out financially a few times. That's about it. Here comes the information that I wish Dave hadn't told me, as it has completely changed how I view my friend. Dave told me that Rachel confessed to him the night before that she knew he was attracted to her. Yes, she is gorgeous. Dave said he has always been attracted to her physically, but mentally, her personality, specifically her shallowness, was a huge turnoff for him. Some unkind things were said about Brenda letting herself go since having Leah, which disgusted me. He then said Rachel confessed that she is frustrated with her never-ending chain of bad relationships and wants to finally settle down. She knows he is wealthy and can give her the life she feels she deserves. She wants him to leave Brenda and Leah, move to Rachel's city, buy her a large house, and let her be his trophy wife. I choked back a laugh at this because I literally thought it was a joke. Seriously? She admits to not being physically attracted to him. Okay, who says things like that? But knows she can satisfy him and he can give her the lifestyle she deserves. She just demands that he has to completely cut off the life he has now, including all friends and family, and be with her. What is worse, Rachel has been planning this for literally years. Sitting in their home, eating their food, drinking their wine, holding Leah, laughing with Brenda, all while planning this. I was floored. I asked what Brenda thought of all this. He said he didn't tell her. I asked him how Rachel took it when he told her to F off. He said he didn't. He doesn't want to lose her as a friend, and he even considered her proposition. I felt sick. I told him I was shocked, and to me, even if he decides not to take Rachel up on it, this is a betrayal to Brenda. Dave explained that while his and my conversations consisted of gaming, stupid memes, and planning potential couples' vacations, his conversations with Rachel were emotional and raw. They spoke for hours on end, every single day, while he was caring for Leah, and while Brenda was working in the next room. Okay, stop. He asked my opinion, and I told him he has two options: either leave Brenda or completely break off all contact with Rachel and focus on his marriage. But since he asked, in my opinion, Brenda needed to know, especially since she considered Rachel a friend, and knowing that Rachel wants to screw over Brenda and Leah. Seriously, typing this disgusts me. After the call ended, I told Mikkel about it. He was as shocked as I was, but asked what I was going to do. I just sat there trying to digest what I had just heard. Dave, Brenda, and Leah went on their vacation. During this time, we didn't communicate. When he got back, he told me that he had cut Rachel off, but refused to tell Brenda about it. Okay, fine, whatever. I don't agree with his action to not tell her, but it's not my life, not my relationship. He asked for advice, and I gave it. I told him that in my eyes, he had betrayed his wife, whether physically or not, and I still felt that Brenda deserved to know. Almost immediately, I felt myself pulling away from Dave. My image of him was damaged. When I interact with Brenda online for work, I'm professional and friendly, but it's painful keeping this secret. However, as time passed, I began to think that perhaps this was over. Dave had just made a stupid mistake and was just thinking about what could be. He didn't actually leave her, right? And most importantly, he cut Rachel out. Dave and I began talking a bit more. I actually thought maybe things can go back to the way they were. Since didn't actually physically cheat, maybe it's best that Brenda doesn't know, for her own mental health and happiness. Maybe we can move past this. So many thoughts going through my mind. So many ways of rationalizing this. The mental gymnastics were Olympics level impressive. Then about a month ago, he drops the bomb. He tells me that Rachel and he are talking again. She allegedly begged him for forgiveness and cried that she is going through another horrible breakup and needs his friendship, or else she doesn't know what she might do. He said he is going to keep her at arm's length, but she needs him. He will just be there for her a little bit, but it won't be like it was before. Oh, holy night. To my chagrin, love that word. As the weeks pass, he begins to mention her more and more. I tell him I don't want to hear about her, and when he keeps going, I finally snap and tell him not to mention her to me at all. I'm so pissed that he is talking to her again, and that he doesn't care about how me knowing this is putting more guilt and strain in my mind, especially when I have to interact with his wife. It's completely unfair that he told me about his situationship with Rachel, knowing that I consider Brenda a friend, and that we work together every day. I've begged him to tell Brenda about it. She has the right to decide if she wants to stay. And most of all, that he is actively still friends with a woman who wishes hurt and pain on his wife and little girl. How do you sleep at night, sir? Dave still talks about planning vacations together with Mikkel and I, but I don't even respond. Honestly, I don't see how I can sit at dinner with them and keep quiet, especially if Rachel were to get brought up in conversation, and especially if wine is involved. And let's be honest, there will be wine. I have one of those faces that speaks my mind without saying a word, which is why I do better working remote versus client-facing. I dread the day when, if either Dave or Brenda say that Rachel is coming to visit them again. I can pretend it won't happen, but let's be honest. Dave is a complete moron who managed to somehow miraculously prevent his marriage from going up in flames, only to soak himself in gasoline and open the door to the walking, talking, gorgeous yet shallow lit match. Reddit, help me. I want to cut him out completely because I am so disgusted by his actions, but I know Brenda will be upset and drill me about it, especially since they have been planning a trip to Europe for next year and wanting us to come. Should I just tell her that we had a falling out? Should I find a way to hint to Brenda not to trust Rachel? I didn't even want to know any of this, and I'm so pissed that he dumped this on me. We were friends, but not that type of friend. As for Brenda, I would want to know if I were friends with and playing host to a girl who wanted to steal my husband and the father of my child. But I'm also concerned about my job, my livelihood. She's been with the company over 10 years, and I've only been a year. I've kept this secret from her for so long. If I say something, can it affect my employment? Should I just pull away from them and when asked make some lame excuse like I am too busy? Edit. I wanted to clarify a few things. When I say friend, I mean we are more than mere acquaintances, but we aren't besties. I've always been closer to Dave than Brenda, strictly because he's the one who I game with. However, Dave and I never had deep conversations before he unloaded this secret on me. We talked about low TR, Harry Potter, going to festivals, and eventually us joining them on vacations. We haven't so far. Money was too tight for us to join them before Mikkel's promotion, and before I was given this job opportunity, so vacations were something for the future. We've only ever met once in person, for the promotion weekend last summer, but have continuously made plans to visit or meet up in the city. Due to funds and other hiccups, the plans always fell through. Our friendship was something that we had built to get away from the stress of life, lighthearted and meant to be fun. As for Brenda, she recommended me for the position at her work, but I had to earn the position. She isn't my boss, but she definitely has seniority. Before the conversation with Dave, I had high hopes for Brenda and I becoming closer and us all being good friends down the road. Unfortunately, since this happened last year, I have kept my distance and didn't nurture my relationship with Brenda. I have no proof. The conversation where he told me everything was over the phone, and I didn't record it. Plus, I'm in a two-party state, so I think I could get in trouble for that. If I tell Brenda, it will be my word against his. And if she goes to him, he can deny everything, or even try to spin it against me. This is where I worry it could affect my job. My job is my biggest concern at this point. I do not want to lose my job. I don't want my job to become awkward. I would love to be able to give Brenda a heads up about the situation. But also, I can't afford to lose my job. I cannot stress this enough. If I knew I could warn her without harming my own situation, I would. It may sound like my mind is made up, but it's not. I just wanted to add those for clarification and hopes that there is something that can be done. Now for the update. Hello, Reddit. First of all, I want to send a huge thank you to all who took the time to read and comment on my post. I read all of your replies and took most into consideration. I mentioned that I would wait until after Thanksgiving to make my decision, as I didn't want to ruin the holiday for Brenda and Leah. During that time, I decided that if I lose my job, then it would suck, but I know I can get another. I have to do what's right, and what is also best for my mental health. Yesterday, with Meekel's support, I sent out a group message to them both saying, "Hope you guys had a happy Thanksgiving." To my surprise, Brenda replied with, "Yeah, not so much." I asked what happened, and she said that Rachel's mom was in the hospital with pneumonia, and Dave went to be with her for moral support, and that she was left hosting alone. Dave didn't reply. Meekel told me that this was the perfect time, and he would support me whatever I chose to do. So I sent, "I'm amazed how forgiving you are, Brenda. I don't think I could be so chill." Dave replied with, "But Brenda immediately called me, and I put her on speaker. She asked what I meant, and I said, after what happened last year, with Dave and Rachel, before you guys left for vacation." She told me to go on, and that's when I knew he had not, in fact, told her. So I told her everything. I also told her I was sorry, and had tried to convince him to tell her, but that I didn't know if anything more had happened, so maybe there is a chance to fix this. I told her that since Rachel was back in their lives, I assumed they moved past it, maybe since they've been close friends since college. She seemed eerily calm, and said something like, "No, Rachel never went to college. She met Dave online about 10 years ago. She's never been to college or even had a real job." She asked if there was anything else. Reddit, I started freaking out, lost any remaining confidence I had, and told her that the reason I hadn't said anything was because I didn't have any proof, and since working with her, I had been worried to say anything about it because I didn't want to risk my job. But not anymore. I was spiraling. Brenda said she had to go and hung up. I just sat there feeling sick. 2 whole hours later, Brenda called me back. Some of you called it. When confronting Dave and Rachel, they told her that I had actually propositioned him, and that I was jealous of his and Rachel's friendship, and I wanted what Brenda had. I started shaking and crying. At this point, Meekel interrupted her and said he had heard parts of the original conversation. Not all, but enough to know that what I had told him afterward was the truth. She tried interrupting him, but he cut her off. He said that this had been tearing me up, and he was sick of it. He wished her the best, and hoped she could remain professional at work. But after this call, he wants Dave out of our life for good. Then he hung up. About 30 minutes later, I got a text from Brenda. She apologized for us being dragged into this, said she's mortified that I know, and says Meekel didn't let her finish. She was just telling us what they said, and then she drops this epic bombshell. She already knows what's up, and has since last year. She just had no idea until then that I knew. Y'all get cookies if you called that BTW. She says the way he acted last year on the vacation, like a heartbroken, lovesick puppy, was a huge red flag, and she felt deep down something wasn't right with him and Rachel. As soon as they got back home, she started digging, looking through his computer, his phone, and iPad. It's not just Rachel, there's more. She's the only one he's met up with. None of the others wanted him in person, just his money. I asked if she's okay or if she's worried about Dave coming back, but Brenda said she already has a lawyer and has been spending the past several months getting her affairs in order. She was going to give him the divorce papers after Thanksgiving, but with him abandoning them like that, she instead took advantage of his absence to change the locks and start packing his stuff. My information along with their lies just made it easier for her. This chick is so much more badass than I knew. I don't know if changing locks is legal, but good for her, I guess. She apologized again for Dave, and I told her I was sorry I didn't say something earlier. She told me that if she didn't already know about Dave and hadn't read a lot of our messages, which she said were pretty boring, ouch lol, she probably wouldn't have believed me. It was an impossible situation. I told her that if she needs to talk, we are here. If not, then I'll just be her coworker. Either way, I'm done with Dave. F. Dave. Thank you for watching.